Welcome back, everyone. We've got Ben Myer. He's wearing a sweater, a shirt, an undershirt, a freaking beanie. He's probably
I'm
wearing
not
like
always shirtless.
you're probably wearing heated socks. Who knows, man? Who knows?
Got to adapt to the environment. I mean, it's not my natural state. Usually it's on a beach with just shorts on, but it's cold in Kansas. So got to do what you got to do.
I love it, man. Well, welcome back. Thanks for doing this. You always teach us some amazing things. And today we want to talk about breaking into areas and then creating some type of dominance through, I mean, you've heard Gary Vee say it, right? That the digital mayor, having a stronger presence, whatever you want to call it. And I want to start off with a simple newsletter because I think we've overlooked the newsletter for so long. And we currently use it and it does very well for us. And so I want to see what you've got, man.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you brought up Gary Vaynerchuk because I was going to bring him up already. So that ties in perfectly. Because the biggest thing I'd encourage before you get into the email newsletter thing and what you send out and all that. And this is the biggest thing when I talk to like my agents or different people about marketing is there's the content that you have and then who's seeing it and how many people see it. And sometimes, like, especially when you're a smaller agent or you're just getting started out and you just get going and like you're watching guys like Gary Vee and other these people that have, thousands of views and millions of followers. And we think we need to be at that level. Like we don't really need to. And he came out with this YouTube video. If you go look up his YouTube of the concept of 1 is greater than 0. And I talked to my team about this, my marketing team constantly about the concept of 1 is greater than 0. So let's say you have like an open house or an email newsletter that you only got 20 people on, and you might be thinking like, I only have 20 people I'm sending my newsletter to. That's not that many. That's not that impactful. It is, because if you have 20 people in there and they're 20 buyers, or one of those buyers ends up being a multi-unit deal that gets you all kinds of commissions, like it's worth it. And the concept of 1 is greater than 0 is what he's getting at, is that as long as you have one person that benefits from the thing that you're sending out, it's worth it. If you have one person that comes through an open house, it's worth it. And I usually use the example of a new build open house that I did where I was out there for 4 hours. There's only 3 guests that came through. One of them came through. I plugged her into my Chime CRM through the open house plan. It followed up with her. I talked to her. I sold her a house, and she referred me to her daughter that ended up being 15 grand in commission. From 3 people that some people will be like, oh, that's not a good open house. You only need 1. And I got 1 buyer out of it, then ended up being 15 grand. So that concept of 1 is greater than 0, don't ever underestimate how much a difference like you can make with small numbers. Like, and I'm coming up with this concept that I'm still developing of making big money with small numbers, because we think we got to have all kinds of leads and all kinds of buyers and all kinds of people and all kinds of calls. And it's like, and you hear mass action, take mass action all the time. And it's like, that's true to an extent, but it's like in all reality, we need you to be taking quality action. Because if you have a 1-to-1, 1 call to 1 appointment to 1 closing ratio, that's better than making 100 calls to have 20 appointments to get 5 closing. It's not as efficient. We need to get to more of an efficiency quality model than just spray and pray, run the numbers. It's a sales game, all that traditional things that we've heard for so long that lead to inefficiencies and not quality service. So, and how that applies, I guess, with the newsletter, no matter what level you're at, is really be focused on pushing out quality content. Nobody wants your recipes is the big one. Nobody wants your recipe cards that's sent to you. That's not relevant. That's not valuable. You might like it, but you got to look at it through an empathetic view of what they want. Because usually what they want is market data, cool stuff about their community. And the biggest one is they want to be entertained. That's why HGTV comes around. That's why all these shows come around. Like, they want to have fun with it. It's cool to see what a realtor's doing, the back end side of it. And you got to kind of think of it through the lens of like infotainment. Like I think it's Patrick Bet David that came out with Valuetainment, and he talks a lot about entrepreneurship, but he's entertaining people. So like as a marketer, the best thing you can do is entertain people with your content, with your information. So send out things that they want to see, want to hear about. Like the last one I just did on Monday, I sent out like the Wichita food truck schedule from 3/7 to 3/13. It's local, relevant community content. It ties right into my Wichita food and booze page that I have that has 93,000 people in it. But it's things like that people want to know about. Like, they know you're a realtor. They're not dumb. Like, they have all that in there. Like 80% of your marketing should not be about real estate. 20% of it is about real estate when it comes to this piece of things, like the community newsletter, because it's a lot of reloads. It's a lot of people that just want to know about the city and the community they're going to be purchasing, not just the house. And, that's a lot of times why location's so important, is because of the area that you're in. So people want to know about the area, where am I buying? What's it like? All that, and make sure that it's relevant content, not all just I'm the best realtor in town, I'm awesome, look at all my awards. Make it about what they want, which is houses and the community stuff. And so that way you get the open rates, you get the engagement, you get the responses. And then, but naturally, they're going to be reaching out to you to think of you to be that top of mind presence when it comes to you, of all that. So one of the big pieces I got for this email newsletter too was from Ricky Caruth. And if you notice, I kind of just like have a mix match hodgepodge of all these people I study and follow and then put it into place. And Ricky Caruth's big thing on the email newsletter was that you want to have a picture right at the start. And you want to have something visual for people to see. Don't have a bunch of text, because then people are like, oh, I got to read all this stuff. Because most of the time, if you study copywriting too, people don't actually read, they scan and they look for the bullet points and all that. And our brain thinks in pictures. And so if you just use pictures and visuals, if you think about, like, I get emails from KCM, Keeping Current Matters. And every time it has an infographic that says video inside or infographic, like in the subject title, I open that thing. And for whatever reason, when there's a bracket in the email subject line, people open those more. I can't remember what the stat is exactly, but they did a study on it that you send emails with brackets, they're open more. That's part of it for your email newsletter. The other thing is you have to go study this list. You'll have to go find it. There's a bunch of words not to use in your email newsletter, like sell, like buy, interested, all these words that the email servers on Google and Hotmail and everywhere else is watching for and scanning for. And if they see a bunch of those words in the email subject line, they'll throw it into spam, they'll throw it into junk. So you want to be avoiding these words so that you're not getting labeled as that with all the email carriers, from a national scale. Like, they'll throw your stuff in the spam, the junk. Because we have to overcome this a little bit with property alerts, because we send so many out. And then it's like, hey, these might be going to your spam because we're sending you so many. Like, and it's not spam, it's just the email servers thinking it's spam. We need you to move it back so that it's not doing that. And at the end of the day, like, our property alerts are kind of an email newsletter. It's properties instead of this. This is a separate thing that I do from my property alerts to literally everyone in there. And it gets people to come back to the website, gets them to, re-engage with it all. But it's not, this is the 20% that's not real estate related, and 80% is property alerts. 20% is, eventually they do want to know about you. They want to know about the community. And this is where you have an opportunity to show them your value, not from the standpoint of just, I'm awesome because I say so, because I have these offers, these benefits, this value to deliver to you. And I know my community, I know the market, I know I live here. Like, that's the biggest thing that we have that Zillow doesn't have, everyone else doesn't have, is we know our local markets better than everyone else. And we can document them, we can market them, we can sell them. Like, and that's, in all reality, when you think about it as a realtor, like, that's really what you're selling to somebody. It's not just the house, the city you live in, the community. So what better way to display that than all this information, put it all out there, promote it, sell your city, put it out there for people to know about. Because I'm from Wichita, and there's a lot of people that are in my system that are also from Wichita, and I'm explaining to them, showing them, telling them about things they never even knew about, and they're from here. Like, that Wichita Food and Booze page has been great for that, because people are like, I found all these hole in the wall mom and pop places I never would have heard about, never would have known about if it wasn't for your group or your newsletter, whatever. And it's like, I see that as, a real estate entrepreneur, not just a realtor, like, trying to sell houses. Is I take a bigger picture of this to go, it all, like, what goes around comes around. We're all connected. The better my community is doing, the better my personal economy is doing, the better, like, I'm going to do. So the more I promote that small business, the more that small business makes money, can come buy a house, and the more the whole economy gets going. So I'm thinking a bigger picture than just being a realtor. I'm thinking like a local community influencer that's so integral to this community. Even if Zillow or tech or someone else came around, they wouldn't want to replace me because I'm too valuable. I'm too important in that community. Like, you got to get yourself into a position where you have so many key relationships. You're so integral to it because you've worked yourself in there as a valuable piece that people want you to win. Like, I think it was Grant Cardone that was talking about how, like, nobody wins like by themselves unless a lot of people want them to. And so you enlist your community's social capital, if you will, by putting a lot of deposits into them, doing a lot of things for them first, and then they'll pay you back. But that concept of social capital is when I go build a Wichita Food and Booze Group, I'm doing it just to build social capital. When I'm sending you properties, it's just to build social capital. When I'm reaching out to you and I'm sending you videos and all these things, I'm building social equity, social capital with you, making deposits into your account so that later when it's time for us to do a sale and I want to financially transact with you, I've already emotionally and socially deposited into your account to get it back out for the ROI. And that's kind of the concept of what we're doing here with this. Like, I know you want to talk about email newsletters, but I was like, that's one small piece of it, of getting into a way bigger picture of just being involved, being present, being in your community instead of just being a runaround realtor salesperson that everybody thinks we are. You know,
I love that. Can you expand on what your newsletter consists of? And if you have an example, I'd love to show it to people.
Sure. I'll screen share here in a sec, and I'll just go straight into, like, I use BombBomb for this because I use a separate email server than Chime. And you want to do that because Chime is great for lead acquisition and CRM and nurturing. But then if you're sending out mass blast emails like this, you don't want to do this through Chime because it will mess with all the email servers and everything else. You want to do this through BombBomb or Constant Contact. I like BombBomb because it sends out the video. You probably, if you've seen in my videos, I wave first and the first thing for a very specific reason to get their intention, like just to get their attention. And when BombBomb sends out a video, it sends out as a GIF. So when they open the video, they see me waving it first, and then they either click on it or read it or whatever. And as I'm studying those two, usually they don't watch the video. They read all the text, but the video got their attention to read the text in the email. And then I'm watching if they click it and go through with it and all that. It's getting hot, so I got to take this off.
Dude, take off your heated socks. Take off.
It's just I get going and I get on fire and I get heated up. So I gotta.
I love that.
I'm gonna stop at the hat though. I'm not going any further than that. So don't get me.
That's the part.
The other piece to keep in mind with this. So I actually have two audiences that I send out my newsletter to, and two different audiences I'm talking to: buyers and sellers and agents. So I have two email lists that all my agents that are in my market, because I talk to them differently than I talk to my buyers and sellers. But there are pieces that coordinate with both. Like I did a local hot sauce challenge here recently with another guy in town. I sent it to both, like, because that applies to the agents and it applies to buyers and sellers. But there's certain things I would say to agents about, like online lead conversion, realtor stuff, that buyers and sellers just don't care about. So I'm like, I'm not going to send that email to agents that I would send to buyers and sellers, but there's some things that can cross coordinate. So instead of having to make two emails each time, like sometimes I just have to make one on things. So if it's local community content, like the agents in your market want to know that too. And it's like, as you build social capital with them too, your deals are going to go better. People are going to know you more. The more you build relationship with the other agents in your market too, the more you're going to be a better realtor. So it's not just buyers and sellers. It's also all the agents that are in your market too, because you want to have those key relationships going on. And like, you want to provide value to them on a weekly basis as well, just like you do buyers and sellers, even if you're a single agent.
Got it, man. I love that. Have you, what you're doing is, it reminds me of what Ken Posick is doing in Orlando.
What's he doing there?
So I'll share it with you in the audience so you can see. So Ken's a good friend of mine, and he, about 6 months ago or so, he has a really good following on YouTube, and he started the Orlando Reel. So it's a website and a newsletter, and you can see on right here, he's got a connection to his YouTube and his Instagram, right?
Perfect.
So a lot of these are the short little videos that he does, or the longer videos anyway, on YouTube. And it's all about the neighborhood, right? All about Orlando.
Yeah.
So,
I bet you he gets a ton of reload traffic from that.
Yeah, 35% of all of his business comes from YouTube, and he's at 100 million already this year in volume.
Nice. How long ago did he start? I'm curious, doing this.
He started this when he moved from Detroit, Michigan to Orlando about 4.5 years ago. So it was really slow. Like, each of his videos now gets thousands of views, but dude, it didn't start that way, right?
Yeah.
It started like.
Well, that's why I was curious, because I think I've been doing it for about a year now, and that's why I've been studying YouTubers like that, to be like how they do it, because it's really slow going at first. Like, you're like, is this even working? And then you start to get traction. You get a video that blows up, and you study the keywords and TubeBuddy and all that, and then it really gets going. And then it's a snowball that's just like you can't stop it even if you wanted to. And I think that's the bigger piece we're talking about here is being a real estate marketer, not just a salesperson. Because if you don't start building these long-term marketing assets, you'll just be a salesperson for the rest of your life, which there isn't any necessarily thing wrong with that. It's just that if you want to go to a next level, like as Zillow's proved, Realtor, everyone else, the money in real estate, the big money is really in marketing and having a marketing system and a sales system, not necessarily being, the runaround realtor. And I know you have to start there and you have to have your time in place there. And there's some people that are good with that and want to be there and that's all they want to do. It's just a matter of what level do you want to take yourself to? And like, where do you need to scale this for you as either single agent, a small team, a mega team? What level do you want to take it to? But these digital marketing assets like Google reviews, like YouTube videos are no longer like a cute thing or an option. Like they're necessary, because if you don't put those things out there, like you're not going to be able to compete with the people who are on those things. So and it's either like you either got to build one your own or you got to join one, like one of the two. It's going to be very like polar opposites there of night and day difference of the realtors are starting to figure out they need to be better marketers, because Zillow proved that. That's what Zillow like revealed about the industry is we weren't that great at marketers. And Zillow came in and marketed homes and got buyers and sellers together better than we did. And now we're waking up to the fact where it's like, we got to take that back and we have an advantage over them. We're local. We're who you end up with anyway. Just cut that guy out and just come straight to us. So
yeah, we also have an advantage on the social side of things because they don't have like a polarizing figure that people think of when they think of Zillow. They think of just the company rather than like Gary Vaynerchuk or Grant Cardone or something.
Right. Well, and that's a key thing you brought up too, is like, I just recently got some coaching from one of my team lead coaches talking about how you don't want to, like you want to put your name out there personally so that people can relate to you and connect with you on a personal level. You don't want to go with a neutral name too big until you're too big, because people are going to know Tristan and they're going to know Ben and they're going to connect with you on a local personal level. And this is such a personal business. Like you don't want to get too far removed just yet. You want to stay personal and relevant so that you're putting your face out there, not from like an ego standpoint of you're like, oh, look at me, I'm awesome. You do it for familiarity. So you can see like, I'm a human, you're a human. You can see my dog, I work out, I play pickleball. Like I'm not this crazy pompous realtor that people think of. Like I'm a down to earth person that you can relate to and talk to and like go grab a beer with type of thing. And it's like, that's the type of person you'd rather do business with. And they want to support you when it comes to that.
I agree, man. I agree. Do you suck at pickleball?
I'm middle of the road. We'll put it that way.
All right.
So,
all right.
Not on the competitive touring level yet, but I'm also not like a no nothing like banger is what you call them. People just hit the ball hard all the time. And it's like no skill. They just whack it. Like,
yeah, that's not what we want. I want to show you something else, buddy. I didn't know you were big on YouTube.
I wouldn't say I'm big yet. I'm getting there. Like I'm 376 subscribers, but I'm going there with it.
You want to get there. What I mean is like you're putting emphasis on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
And so I want you to take a look at Morning Fame. It's my friend, my good friend Borino. I don't know if you knew Borino.
The name sounds familiar.
So he's a for sale by owner expired coach. And he told me about Morning Fame about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And what it is it kind of gives you like the overview here, right? So here's my channel, right? But the important part is you can break down here and it'll show you all videos, shorts, live replays, recorded videos, and then it breaks down which ones did great, what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing. And then more importantly, it says, well, look, if you want to, here are your top videos, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you should do a better job doing this, or maybe you should do a better job doing that. And it also says, well, you know what? You should also check out these other YouTube channels.
Right.
And these topics, right? And they'll be like, and I'm like, oh, damn, that's really good, bro. So
yeah, I like that because I use TubeBuddy now, but it's not as like succinct like this is. So
this is completely different, and it's not very. It's like $10 a month because there's a guy from I think the guy from Germany runs this. It's just a one-man show, but he does such an amazing job. And let me see, because it needs to. Let me see how I can send you an invite, because that's the only way to jump on, dude. You know what? When I'm done, I'll send you an invite. I don't know where the hell to send you an invite from.
I'll use this like crazy. And I'm in a position right now where it's like I've been bootstrapping this, doing a lot of this myself, but that's also what's holding me back. But we're at a financial position now where it's like, all right, I need to bring on a full-time real estate like media marketer person. And
Yes.
one of the things I was going to have them do is like literally just walk around and record us, like just like a documentary, the TV show, but have it be a real one, but not give away your client's confidentiality. It's got to be aired later type of thing. But people would love like just a real life behind the scenes. Here's what being a realtor is really like. And I think if we did that, they would really appreciate a lot more what a realtor actually does. Because most people have the attitude of like, oh, you guys are all just overpaid. Don't work that hard. You can be lazy. Like, because that's the biggest thing I've seen about this industry that's changed. It's still big money. It's not easy money anymore. It used to be. And you're hearing a lot of realtors say that. Like, it's just not easy like it used to be. It's got more complicated. It's harder than ever. It's like, there's still a lot of value there. That means you're needed more than ever. You got to step up and help people. Because like, I've only had a license for 6 years, but I could see that when I first got started. And that's why I got into it so hard. Because like, there's a lot of opportunity here for improving this entire industry on it all. And this is just, I guess, one piece of it. But that's a whole nother rant for another day.
No, that's okay. I think we're heading in that direction anyway. So besides the newsletter, the items that you have there, what else do you have on social? You've got YouTube. Are you on Instagram? Are you on Facebook? What does that look like?
Yeah, so Google's our primary driver, Google and YouTube. And then we started really getting into like Google My Business and Google Local Services because we're getting our reviews up there. We have the second most in town. And we're really capitalizing on that, making that more, which is another dominant thing of being in there. Because our biggest thing, like the way I started and got going with this is like when you type in the Google search bar, I want to be the first one that shows up there. Whether you write in Wichita homes for sale, we show up first. They click on the first one. Same thing if you type in realtor Wichita, Kansas, we show up. A bunch of our reviews show up. And since we have so many reviews, they click on that when they call us and they do it that way. So Google is our primary one. But then YouTube, like I said, we're starting to dig into more of that. We have like 376 subscribers so far. And I think if I remember right, we've sold 11 houses from that so far. Because I had not one, but I've had multiple videos do well. But the one that's done the best was just about living in Wichita, Kansas. It's got like 12,000 views, I think, over the last 11 months, like 240 some comments. And then people go to the website, they sign up from there and they're like, oh yeah, I saw you on YouTube and whatever. And I'm just talking to you, like easiest lead in the world to convert. And they're like, I'm selling my house in Colorado for 600,000 and I'm moving to Wichita. I'm going to buy 300,000 cash. And we're like, great, we love you. Let's go. And then we send out outbound listing referrals out there too. So I'm seeing that going like, we need to just full on blast that with shorts and videos. And like, it's too much for one person to do. So YouTube. And then, so those would probably be our two primary platforms. We use Facebook and Instagram as more of like a retargeting, getting people back to us. But I wouldn't say that that's a primary platform because people don't go to those platforms for houses. They go there to be entertained. And then we show back up once they've shown us, that they have interest, and we use their targeting from visiting our website, their interest behaviors on Facebook and Instagram, but we don't use Facebook and Instagram for acquisition of clients. We use them for retention of clients.
So retargeting, remarketing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then, just in Chime, the email newsletters, like we always got to get it all into one place because the whole idea that we're building with this is having a database of direct access to consumer. And so as we build these phone numbers, emails, everything else, have this giant database, like that's truly our asset is all this access to people. And when we have all this access to people in our Chime CRM, I don't care if it's Google, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, whatever platform that's driving it to there, all of that's driving it to one place that I have direct access to. That then I can just send out a blast message or I can talk to everybody without having to pay Facebook, pay Instagram, pay YouTube, pay Google, pay all these social platforms that are built on ads. And I'm not saying anything against them, but I don't want to be completely reliant on just paying for everything. Because if you have the access to that info, like just by running the numbers, you're going to have enough access to enough people that over time, like every 1, 3, 5 years, they're going to buy, they're going to sell. And you just got to be regularly reaching back out to them. So I see the value of those leads in that database coming in as more than just like the sale that's there. I look at the lifetime value of a client, which is more like 30,000 than like the immediate $5,000 commission with it all. And that's actually even where, because this is a ninja trick I was just teaching to my agents today is like, so let's say you're talking to somebody online and like, I just bought a house. Like you need to move them to a closed pipeline because even if there's someone else's client and they close, we're going to reach back out to them 1, 3, 5 years later, say, hey, you want to sell? So it doesn't have to be people that we've sold houses to. It can be other people that have bought a house too, but we have the record of that. And now we have a closed pipeline database that we're going to be reaching out to regularly to just come back to.
That's the key, man. All right, there's a question. How long? I'm going to take this one. How long should video be for community or educational? Here's my answer, and here's why. TikTok just announced that they're extending their video length to 10 minutes to compete with YouTube so that they can have more ads, so they can pay their creators more, because we all know YouTube pays their creators insanely well, right?
Right.
So now my answer to that is 10 minutes or less. So you can use it on TikTok, you can use it on YouTube.
Yeah.
And that's going to be your answer. Question for you though, from Rena, you want to repeat this one. How do you send the newsletter? Through Chime or how? Which you answered.
Bomb. Yeah, and you asked me about this before too. I'll share my screen and just show you. Let's see where to go. So this is like my marketing screen where it's got all the different marketing things. So I have a marketing screen, a CRM screen, a real estate screen. But like this one's through BombBomb, where you can see the stats of it all that I just sent Monday. We had a 36% open rate. So that's one to all the agents. There's 1,000 of them that I have in there because I don't necessarily have everybody in there. I have different segments of them. And then I have 6,200 that are still like delivering, because there was, I think, like 8,000 in there, but then a bunch of people unsubscribed, bounced, whatever. And it had about a 19% open rate, but it was just Wichita food truck schedule, infographic. And then the one I did before is like live local hot sauce challenge. I'm getting ready to make one that's a market update one. Like people like those. I use visuals in that one too. And like people ask the length of the video, 6 to 8 minutes is what I usually look at.
Perfect.
And the same thing for a phone call, because they've done studies on like shorter than that, there's not enough connection. Longer than that, people check out. So 6 to 8 minutes is like the prime attention span that people will spend on getting it. And it's like, people don't need you to like sit there and like vacillate and elaborate on a point. Like that's why quotes are so powerful. Like to just make the point, move on, make the point, move on. Like they need quick hitting info. Like we move faster these days. Like just people don't need as much explanation or time to absorb and understand a concept. It's just like, give me straight. Like
very true, buddy. Very true. All right. Let me see here. Question for you. There's a couple more. Do you do anything on Nextdoor by any chance?
Nothing on Nextdoor, because my biggest thing that I could advise people on like social media and all these marketing channels is pick one and dominate it and do really well. You don't need to do all 10,000 that are out there. Like pick Google, do really well at it. Pick YouTube, pick Facebook, pick one and do really well. But then kind of like what you were saying is you can take one and distribute it across all the platforms, but you don't have to recreate content for every single piece, piece of content. You can chop it up, but like use the same video or message and then distribute it through different platforms, different audiences on everything. Because it can be overwhelming if you're a single agent, because you're like, well, I'm trying to show houses, be an agent, be a salesperson, be a marketer, be a TC, be everything. And it's like, how do I get this going? Like you don't want to start all of them at once. Start one, do it well. And then once you get that one pretty solidly, consistently, then move on to another one to add in. So,
well, let me add something right there. Exactly what you said. But right before you move on, after you've done a pretty good job mastering it, you hire someone to do that. Right. That's
and I'm glad you brought that up, because it's like the way you want to think of it as you're doing it is building a system while you're doing it for someone else to take over. Because even if you're going to be the one doing it, you still need a system. We still need a plan and a structure to follow. If we can't even follow the plan and structure, how do you expect someone else to? And if you're really going to be an entrepreneur at this, like look at the definition. It's who owns the business systems and processes. That's what an entrepreneur is. So if you don't have a system and process, you don't have a business. And so you got to think that way of being like, I create and build processes that create jobs for my economy to get like everything going. And I play a way bigger role than just being, a little old realtor that sells a few houses here and there. Like I'm a real estate entrepreneur, and that's a way different thing than being just a realtor.
Got it, man. All right, let's wrap it up. Let's take a look at the newsletter, just one of them, so we can see what we have, and we'll wrap it up.
So I'll use like this one. I got to go look at it in a different spot. And I'll put out educational stuff too, because a lot of people are like, how do I even buy a house? How do I sell a house and buy one at the same
Ooh.
time? Like things like that that we're commonly hearing. Like, because if you're trying to think about like, what do I send to my people? What do I say to them? What are the conversations you're having regularly? Talk about that, because if one person's asking about it or inquiring about it, you probably got a whole bunch of other people that want to know about that question too.
Excellent, dude. I like that.
One
And
up.
do you use these videos too on social and then repurpose them to send out on newsletters?
That, and I'll chop them up, I'll cut them up, I'll take screenshots, so I'll get traffic from my Facebook story or my Instagram, and then it'll come to YouTube. But like it all works like together, in a funnel with everything.
Perfect.
But this is also kind of like a saying where I need a full-time like media marketer to just do all of this.
I love it, man.
So let's see. Sorry, the screen's in the way.
Hey, no problem. I'll answer some questions here. Kate, I know a couple of people that use the newsletter from Chime, but I don't use it. I use MailChimp and Active Campaign. And as you can see, Ben here uses BombBomb. So
you can see like one thing I did is like, you don't want to capitalize the first letter of everything. Email servers take that and they're like, okay, that's spam. I'm going to throw that out. I also made it very relevant to who I was talking to. So Wichita food truck schedule, 3/7 to 3/13 infographic. Then they got the picture of like where it's at from 3/7 to 3/13. And, this is all information they can't find anywhere else online. So it's like, this is relevant, valuable.
Ben, who do you have gathering this information?
So this was sent to me by the lady that runs all the Wichita. She has like a Wichita food truck coalition. And I met her through my Wichita Food and Boost page. And so like she was even offering like to pay me for all this stuff. And I was like, you don't have to pay me. This is just part of like what I do for our community from a marketing effort. Just let me know like when you guys are going to be where, and I'll distribute it to all my people just to help you guys out on everything. And, obviously that gets me goodwill and good favors from the community for all that. But it's that social concept of like what goes around comes around, like it'll come back to you with all that.
Perfect, man.
All right. That's where this picture came from. And then just a little bit of description, like nothing crazy. And then at the end, still got my social, start your home search, all that stuff. So if they want to start looking and whatever, you can. But honestly, I'd say it's visuals, keep it simple. People aren't going to sit there and read. Like, honestly, most people probably didn't even read this text. They just saw the picture and read that went with it. And then let me show you one that's got a video, like the how to buy a home one that did pretty well. Because basically you're kind of showing people you can be their realtor before you've ever met them. And you're being the realtor before you quote unquote are the realtor. Like just prove it, show them you can get them what they want. And they don't care how many houses you've sold. Like whether you've sold a lot, you've sold a little, all they care about is can you get them what they want. It's like this how to buy a home one. I'll show you a market one too that I got with the infographics in it. If we got time and I'm not running over.
We got a minute. We got a minute.
Okay. This is the how to buy a home one. Just very simple how to buy a home. Like, and this is actually on my YouTube, and then just put a 6-step process with bullet points so people can, scan that, read that and get an idea. And then when they want to start looking, just like that. And
so good, man.
I'm on it. Keeping it simple. Simple is what scales, and simple is genius. It's why we love Amazon, Uber, Netflix, all those so much, because it's simple and it just gets us what we want.
That's why I like Apple over Android.
Same here. Wichita housing market update 2021 and into 2022. Like this is where I use a lot of KCM content that has it on a national scale, and then I give my personal local advice on it. So you got visuals with a little description, but most of it is all visuals and infographics that people want to see. They don't really.
Good job on bringing in KCM, dude.
What's that?
Good job on bringing in KCM there.
Yeah, because like that's how you become the local real estate expert, is like listen to the national experts and then take that and see how it applies for you locally. Like, and this is how you become like your local market expert. And this is relevant stuff they want to hear about. This isn't, a recipe or how awesome I am. It's like, just show them you're good by just showing them you're good. Like, it's kind of just I don't like to tell people. I'd rather just show you.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think a lot more people need to function that way. Let me stop the share.
Yep.
How do we get a hold of you, Ben?
Check out my socials on Facebook, just Ben Myer, or my Instagram, BGMeyer08. YouTube channel is just Wichita, Kansas, designed for keyword search. Yeah, probably those 3 ways. I like social probably the best. Don't go sign up on my website, please. That costs me money and time and all that. Come to me directly if you want to talk about stuff.
Perfect. I'll hit you up on Instagram, buddy.
Yep. Sounds good.
Thanks again, Ben.
Appreciate having me on. See you, Tristan.
Appreciate you. Thank you, everybody.
Yep. See ya.